A blessed morning to you. You are once more welcome to the channel. Now, in this particular video, we're going to be looking at several words in the Igbo language that are just Hebrew words lying about the place without even the knowledge of the people who are speaking this word. Now, you can go and see the other videos before going into this. I've made the first installment of this video and you can see the thumbnail on the screen. Now, this is like a second installment of this video. Now, in this video, we're going to be looking at the word Kwum or Kum. This word is a word that has various applications in the Hebrew language as spoken in Judea, and we outlined a few meanings here. From stand, to rise, to fix or make firm, to establish, to set up, to put up, to set in place, to erect, to raise up, to persist, to endure, and to prepare. Now, these are few meanings of kum or kum in the Hebrew language. However, we are now going to be looking at this word as they are used in the Igbo language. The first meaning we'll be looking at here is the meaning stand. Stand, okay? Now, the simplest way of saying stand in the Igbo language is kwo. Kwo is like an absolute form. Kwo, okay? But in the construct form, like the way you use it within a sentence, you will see variations like kwo, to stand, or kworo, or kwoma. Kwoma, you can see that this kwoma here, you usually get it in another part of Igbo land. You see that this is just kwum with an a added to it, and you also get kwolo. Now, there are several nouns that the Igbos have actually brought out from this verb. Now, the first noun we'll be looking at is okwo. Okwo. Now, okwo in the Igbo language means your legs, okwo, or your tools for standing. Now, the next word we'll be looking at is oku. Now, the word for waist in the Igbo language is uku. So, looking at this word to mean stand in the Hebrew language, you can then understand why the earlier Igbo people called the waist uku, because it is your means of standing. Now, there are several other applications in the Igbo language, like when you see a tree stand is called ukwu osisi. Now, there's a word in the Igbo language which we call uku. Now, uku or uku, depending on the dialect, this means great. However, if you look deeply, or if you've been into research on the Igbo language, you'll understand that this word is actually of great standing. Consider some applications of this word. The word that means God in the Igbo language, there are various words that mean God anyway, but most popular one being Chukwu. So Chi Ukwu is the name. The Ukwu there means of great standing. So that word Chukwu actually means our leader of greatest standing, not even great stand, because God is the number one in the Igbo race, okay? So he's our leader of greatest standing. Now, another application is the word we use to mean the cooking stand, okay? We call it eku. Eku is anything that you use to cook. Like what you can see, the Hebrew woman is bent over the eku there. Whether it's in this form, we have this form also that is in the ground. Usually in the more modern times, our eku, like your electric cooker or your gas cooker and all that, things are eku. Now, there's a name that comes out from this word eku, which we call uso eku. Uso eku is actually the corner for the cooking stand. Also actually means corner, okay? The corner for the cooking stand, or the cooking stand corner, which is also known as kitchen. Another prominent meaning of the word kum or kum in the Hebrew language is establish, or set up, or put up. Now, let's take this speech that the character has actually presented on the screen. Now, he says, Ahamu bu Ifani. Ahamu bu Ifani. That actually means my name is Ifani. Now, what you must know is this. In the Igbo language, we will say, Iho kurubu na aha ya bu Ifani. But at the root, what that actually means from Hebrew is, what he established in his speech is that his name is Ifeanyi. Now, going further, the ku also means to establish. That is to say, to actually establish something in the physical, like to raise it up, okay? So, yeah, an Igbo person might say, it will actually mean on the surface, he built a hospital in his hometown, but deeper, is actually he established or set up a hospital in his hometown, okay? Another verb application of this word ku, to establish, is actually to pay. We will usually say kwuo. When you say ga kwuo in Igbo, it actually means go and make the payment. But actually at the deeper level, it means go and establish the payment, or go and set up the payment. Okay. So on the surface, it is now used to mean pay. or settle. Another verb application of this word ku within the Igbo language is kwe, that is to agree. Kwe. It is actually meaning at a deeper level to establish a common ground. So if I ask you, Ikwerego, have you agreed? What I'm actually asking you at a deeper level is, have we both established a common ground? So these are verb applications. We can then go into the noun applications of some of these words. Okay. Now from the first one, Okuru, he said, or rather he established. That is where we brought out the noun Oku. Now Oku in the Igbo language means your speech, a word, etc., etc. So another noun there is actually Ekuleku for a talkative, one who establishes a lot of things with their mouth. Now another noun that came out from this particular verb to establish is the Igbo word Okuku. That Okuku actually means a burial. On the surface, it means a burial, but with our understanding thus far from these Hebrew meanings, we then understand that the earlier Igbo ancestors who called it Okuku, they're actually saying setting up, Okuku, to set something up, to raise it up, to organize it, setting up the burial arrangement for the deceased person, Okuku. Now, the related word that is more common to the Igbos today is what you call akwamozu. That akwamozu is still from this same root, to establish. And how is it so? That word akwamozu is actually a contraction. The fuller word, which we discovered in research, it is actually akwamozu, setting up the deceased person, setting up the arrangement. Okay. There are other noun applications of this word like unkwa. Unkwa is like a pledged commitment. A pledged commitment between two people means that there's an establishment between both of them. So it is from this word still, this ku, that the word iku came out from. We usually say ikunne, which is maternal place. Now the iku here is signifying that it is your matrilineal establishment. So your ikunne is ebe amanege polo. Okay, ikunne. So we'll just go to the next set of words. Now what I'll do is that I'll run through the remaining meanings very quickly, so we'll see how they are used within the Igbo language. Now the first one we can see here is hu, to rise. Okay, so if you are laying down, somebody can tell you kuroto. So whether you say kuroto or kuroto, whichever your dialect says, you're essentially speaking Hebrew at that time. Now another application of the word in Hebrew is to fix or make firm in Hebrew. Now in the Igbo language is exactly the same thing, okay? The most simplest form, like the absolute form, ekon, is to fix something. But in the construct form, you might get something like kwa, that is to fix it. If I give you something and I tell you, kwa yanaja, that means I'm telling you fix it on the wall. Another way or a variation of that is kudo. They're both the same thing essentially, meaning fix or make firm. Now, there's also another application in both tongues, which means to set in place. In the absolute form of the Igbo language, you will get o. In the construct form, you might hear something like wo. For example, if this elderly man told you, "Welompa wo yabang," he's actually saying, take the staff and set it in place over there. These are lesser applications. They're not as wide as the other applications that we saw at the beginning of the video. Now there's another application of the word kum or kum in Hebrew, which is to persist or to endure. Now when you come into the Igbo language, you endure will usually be represented by the word kwechiri. Now this word looks longer, but at the root is essentially the same thing with every other thing we've been saying. Okay, so the word kwechiri is actually kum e chiri, that is stand to an end. Kwechi or kwechiri, that is persist or endure. Okay, chi is actually end there. Now the last meaning we are going to be looking at in the Hebrew language for kum or kum is to prepare. Okay, to prepare. Now when you come into the Igbo language, we also have a word for prepare that is still from this same root, kum or kum. Now the word is kwado. Kwado means to prepare. Okay, kwado. Now at the root, the word is actually ado. So who they are to join and the do, actually saying set up in order. To set up. The do signifies order. It signifies order. So essentially when you say kwado, you are saying set up in order. That is prepare it. Of course, something that is disorganized is not prepared. Okay, so when you organize it, you are essentially preparing it. So kwado, set up in order. So you can see that all the meanings as listed in Hebrew is exactly as it's found in the Igbo language, and that is why if you saw the first video, the first installment of this set of videos, you would observe where I said that the Igbo language is a variation of Hebrew as spoken in Judea. That is to say that it is essentially Hebrew, though in another form, in another representation. So we are just going to be looking at the word map. These are all the words that are essentially coming out from Kwum or Kum, which is the Hebrew root. Now look at all the words in Igbo coming out. I mean, the words are too much. These are the ones we could even cover in the video. They are much more. It will spread out up to maybe 500 words or even more within the Igbo language. So that is essentially how the Igbo language has formed from its Hebrew root. There are many words. This is just one video. Several other videos will still come about. There are many. It's uncountable, to be very frank with you. So this was just a video showing us how the Igbo language is essentially Hebrew, and there'll be many videos like this. I will see you on another video. Thank you for listening.